Hi everyone. On 16th of April 2024, that is just a few days ago, CBDT, that is Central Board of Direct Taxes, came out with a press release, and in that press release they gave out the number of APAs which were concluded by CBDT in the just concluded financial year, that is 2023 and 2024. So, International Tax Academy by Manoj Naudiyal, I am Manoj Naudiyal, is bringing to you a short tutorial, a short video on APAs. And in this video, I'm going to discuss that short press release that was given by CBDT regarding the number of APAs, and I'll discuss certain features of APAs which are based upon the OECD TP guidelines, chapter number 4, that contains the provisions regarding conclusion of APAs. Fine. So without any further ado, let's get started. So to begin with, that press release CBDT's 16th April press release. In this press release, CBDT gave out the statistics that for the financial year 2023-2024, CBDT has concluded a record number of APAs, that is total 125 APAs were concluded by CBDT during this financial year. Out of these 125 APAs, 86 APAs were unilateral APAs and remaining 39 APAs were bilateral APAs. So I'll discuss later on what do you mean by unilateral APAs and what are bilateral APAs. Now this 125 number is the highest ever number of APAs that have been concluded by CBDT. Year on year basis, this shows an increase of 31%, that is in the previous year, that is 2022-2023, the number of APAs, the total number of APAs that were concluded was equal to 95. So 95 and 31% increase leads to 125. So kudos and congratulations to the work of CBDT. Congratulations to them and kudos to their great work. Hope they keep up with their good work. Fine. So this was the statistics which was presented by bilateral APAs. So these were the statistical figures which were given by CBDT in this press release. Number one. Number two, now going over to the concept of APAs. Okay. Right. Fine. Number two, concept of APA. Concept of APAs. APAs are covered in chapter number 4 of OECD TP guidelines. Chapter number 4 of OECD TP guidelines 2022 is titled Administrative Approaches to Avoiding and Resolving TP Disputes. This chapter number 4 comprises of number of approaches including MAP, corresponding mutual agreement procedure and corresponding adjustment, simultaneous tax examination, safe harbors, APAs as well as arbitration. So International Tax Academy's current batch, ADIT June 2024 TP preparation batch, which is running. In that batch we have covered chapter number 4 in detail, and we've covered all these procedures, mechanism that I've just now mentioned in front of you in addition to APAs. Fine. Okay. So what is transaction or transactions? Arrangement to determine in advance, that is in the very beginning, before the actual control transactions are undertaken. Arrangement to determine in advance of control transaction an appropriate set of criteria. Arrangement to determine in advance of control transactions an appropriate set of criteria. an appropriate set of criteria to determine the transfer prices for that control transaction for a fixed period of time. For example, you have this control transaction. The M&E group wants to undertake this control transaction. M&E group wants to undertake this control transaction, and supposing this control transaction is the subject matter for the APA, then before this control transaction is actually undertaken, that is in the advance of this control transaction, taxpayers will negotiate with the tax authorities and an appropriate set of criteria will be determined. This appropriate set of criteria will consist of the TP methods. TP methods, appropriate set of comparables, comparability adjustments, as well as critical assumption regarding the future events. Critical assumptions regarding the future events. So TP method, comparables, comparability adjustment and critical assumptions. This is this appropriate set of criteria, and this appropriate set of criteria will be used to determine the transfer price for this control transaction. And this is determined in advance of this control transaction. That is why it is known as advanced pricing arrangement. So advanced pricing arrangement is an arrangement to determine in advance of a control transaction an appropriate set of criteria that will be used to determine the transfer prices for this control transaction. APAs are requested by the taxpayers, that is M&Es. APAs are requested by the taxpayer, that is M&Es, and negotiations are held between one or more AEs, M&Es, and one or more tax authorities. Out of all these criterion which form the subject matter of the APA, this critical assumption that becomes very, very important, because critical assumptions they determine what will be the prediction, what will be the accuracy of the predictions made by the APA. For example, this control transaction is what? Intra-group borrowing. This is intra-group loans. Fine. So this control transaction involves intra-group loans. So you have intra-group loans. So AE1 gives loan to AE2, intra-group. This is loan, intra-group loan. AE1 is providing loan to AE2. So AE2 will pay interest to AE1. So this is interest payment. So this interest payment, and supposing this transaction is supposed to last for say 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. So over this 6 years, this interest can not remain a fixed amount, because there are a number of fluctuations that may keep on happening during these 6 years. So this interest amount may fluctuate. So the critical assumption regarding the determination of interest will say, for example, this interest will be equal to say, for example, this interest may be equal to LIBOR plus a percentage, fixed percentage. So this critical assumption regarding the determination of interest includes that LIBOR, London Interbank Offered Rate, this keeps on fluctuating, and a fixed percentage. So using this critical assumption, the amount of interest payment may be determined for this control transaction that involves intragroup loan. Fine. So this is the concept and the mechanism of APAs. Fine. APAs are supposed to last for a fixed period of time. For the Indian scenario, that fixed period of time is 5 years. With a provision of up to 4 years of rollback. So they can be rolled back up to 4 years. So 4 years of rollback plus 5 years of APA duration. This leads to a total of 9 years. 9 years. Fine. So this is the concept of APAs along with the basic features. Arrangement is to determine in advance an appropriate set of criteria that is used to determine the transfer prices for the control transactions. Right. Next, types of APAs. Unilateral, bilateral and multilateral. Unilateral APAs, bilateral APAs and multilateral APAs. Types of APAs. So you have unilateral APAs, in which in which there is only one tax authority involved. One tax authority involved. One tax authority is involved. Bilateral APAs involve two tax authorities, whereas multilateral APAs, they involve more than two tax authorities. So multilateral APAs more than two tax authorities. Remember CBDT figure. So 125 total number of APAs, and out of 125, 86 were unilateral and 39 were bilateral. So in these 39 bilateral APAs, Indian tax authorities, they entered into agreement with the tax authorities of US, UK, Denmark, Singapore, right, and one or two other countries. So bilateral APAs, right? So types of APAs: unilateral, bilateral, multilateral, depending upon the number of tax jurisdictions or tax authorities involved. And these would be the tax jurisdictions which are involved in the control transactions, right? Naturally, the efficacy of having a bilateral APA and multilateral APA is higher compared to unilateral APAs, right? Okay. Next, applicability of APAs, where APAs can be used, where they can be applied. So APAs can be applied for control transactions that involve global securities, transaction of securities. Applicability control transactions involving trading of global securities, that is financial securities, global securities transactions, commodities transactions, multilateral CCAs, multilateral cost contribution arrangements, CCAs, right, as well as profit attribution to PEs, profit attributions to PEs, and other branch operations. So in all these cases you can have the applicability of APAs coming into picture, right? Advantages of APA. The first and the foremost advantage is tax certainty. Because everything is determined in advance. The appropriate set of criteria, that is TP method, comparables, adjustment and critical assumptions, they are determined in the very beginning of undertaking, before the control transaction is actually undertaken. So everything is determined, and now you have to apply that appropriate set of criteria and to determine the transfer prices. So tax certainty is enhanced, and this is a very big advantage for taxpayers. That is why taxpayers request APAs, right? So tax certainty is enhanced, number one. Number two, even the administrative compliance burden of the MNEs, that is also reduced to an extent, as well as the administrative burden of the tax authorities, that is also reduced to a certain extent, right? So compliance burden as well as administrative burden of the tax authorities, they both reduce. They don't become zero. Taxpayers still have to comply with the provisions of the APA, and administrative tax authorities, they have to monitor the compliance by the MNEs, but then burdens are definitely reduced. Fine. Tax certainty enhances, compliance burden reduces, administrative burden of tax authorities, that also reduces, and one of the most important, probably the most important, that because of this, the chances of entering into TP disputes, chances of having a costly and time consuming and resource consuming TP litigation, they are minimized to a very large extent. So chances of TP litigation, they are reduced to a very large extent. So chances of TP litigation, they are reduced. It is very, age old saying, prevention is better than cure. So APA is basically a preventive mechanism that prevents, that avoids the arising of the TP disputes, right? So APA, prevention is better than cure, and that is why the chances of TP litigation by APA, they are reduced to a very large extent. Fine. So this was a very short video starting with the statistical figures given by CBDT, then the concept of APA. Everything is determined in advance using an appropriate set of criteria, then features, rollback, then your applicability as well as advantages. So I hope you would have got a quick gist about the features and concept of APAs, and thank you so much for your time. Do keep following, and until next time, namaskar. Thank you.